So we'll make it easy. So as you know, we have the money that's coming from the state, and the city has the amount that's there. So where we're at right now today is we're still in the same spot when I met you guys, but right now
Well,
we're
this
doing,
is more people.
there's more people, but I'll touch. So right now we're doing environmentally testing still. So we know that there's lead on the panes of the windows.
Oh,
We know that there's no asbestos on the walls, and we know the lead is fine on the walls. They're still doing testing in the basement to figure out exactly where we're at, but we're still trying to figure out environmentally what our impact is. That's the linchpin of what happens, because so the state, I'll just touch on windows, they want that exact same model. So if we went with a fiberglass window, we can get it for $260 to $280 a piece. They want wood, and they want construction based out. So we have to bid everything out as if it's wood. But we still have to get rid of all these windows that have lead, which means we have to go ahead and remediate and make sure it's all done properly. It's the hardest part of the mix. We remediated some asbestos in the basement 8 years ago. But then we found more asbestos on the back crawl space coming back, but we don't know if it impacts anything yet. If it doesn't impact the mechanical, so they're gonna put new AC, new heat, everything in the building. If it doesn't impact it, then we don't have to touch that room. Then that room can just stay off limits. If the return vents go through that room, then we have to remediate that room in order to go ahead and bring everything in. Electrical in the house, everything is cloth coated. So everything has to be upgraded to code. That's the only linchpin. So everything has to be brought up to code. This track lighting will all get ripped out. Everything will be recessed coming in, but it's pretty much all has to be to code. So like when we get an electrician in, it's tough because you're splicing new with old. And it's a tough deal. The stage we talked about last time is about 21 inches outside of the property line. So the stage is going to get rebuilt. So the entire stage is going to get rebuilt, which is good. I mean, it's a win-win for everybody. But we're looking at that right now because it has to shift. Because what they did on this parcel is we have the carriage house, and they would split this into a separate parcel. So we have the carriage house, but this is the historic parcel. The carriage house is not considered historic, so we're kind of zoning in and making one set area. Parking, I will address a little bit parking wise. There is a plan for handicap parking, a full parking lot off the side left here, where you won't have the issue. So anyone can get up here and actually park, which is good. Design of the house, the footprint's gonna stay the same. We're gonna do a kitchen. It's not gonna be a full service kitchen, but it's gonna have everything you need for your events. We're trying to stay at level 1 of health service, because if we go to level 2, it just adds a different layer. There is a plan, which will happen, to put restrooms in the back where the existing trailer is for the lights and production. It'll be restrooms, concession, bottom level. Second level will be their lights and their control room. It's not considered historic. It's actually part of the imprint for the golf course. So it doesn't fall into the category of having to go with the same build out. So we can do a stick type building that'll be much easier. Because we're doing a septic, we were approved for 380 people. So we'll have enough capacity to go ahead and pull 380 coming off with everything the way it goes. Still have to have porta johns probably in some capacity if they're full, but it won't be it'll probably be a special event type thing. For arts, they won't need anything special. The house will concern. For musicals, if they gonna have, what's your capacity, Bobby?
It's 350.
So we're fine, at 380 we're fine. So I think that's what we went with. So at 380 we'll be at that limit to where we don't have to worry about it. There's a plan, so to access this room, we've looked at walkways. ADA is the hardest part to go ahead and get, and we have to deal with it. We're gonna redo the walkway. There's gonna be, we've requested right now in design for an exemption to put a lift to get these 3 steps down, because the rest of the house is accessible, except for this room. I think they're gonna grant that, and let us do like a single lift where people can get down to this room and still get back, because otherwise, the only other option is, if you're handicapped, you're gonna come all the way around, build up in the back, which would be a pain in the butt. It would be a big inconvenience. So we've gotten that variance. We've kind of it's give and take right now. It's a blessing and a curse that this house, if it was never historical, it'd be so much easier. It'd be so much easier to go ahead and do it because it's historical.
Mm-hmm.
They still want everything integrity wise. They want the molding. They want the same window design. They want the same siding design. It adds a tremendous amount of money. We are still waiting. I don't think we have to go off of prevailing wage. So we go with, I'm not sure the first word, but it's a different bid process where we can use minorities. It's almost like diversity inclusion, to where we can actually get vendors that are not union, because union just adds a layer that we don't have. We have $1.5 million. So we're gonna get the walkway, we're gonna get the house, we're gonna get the mechanical, electrical, stage, and building. Looks like we have enough to do it. Upstairs is probably gonna be back burner. The lift is going away. Upstairs will not be ADA compliant, so it will not. There'll be 3 storage areas. Arts will have a storage area, musicals have a storage area, plus our office on the back end of the garage. So everything will be off of that, where you can pretty much pull it off still. We'll still have the bathrooms here. That's it in a nutshell. Any questions?
I have a question. You used the term full-service kitchen. So there'll be a stove in there and a microwave. So what's the difference between that and a
It's grease.
full-service?
It's a matter of grease. So we have to contain our grease. So grease is everything. So even for like for the concession stand, you can do hot dog rollers. We might have a stove, microwave, concession. Stove is the stove and burner is where grease gets into. Because then we deal with septics. Then we're dealing with, a
Okay.
new design septic system. So we have to make sure that our grease imprint is small.
So there'll be a microwave but no stove.
Microwave, convection oven, refrigerator, new sinks, everything. The stovetop probably won't be there, but there'll be something to where you can actually still serve, create what you want, but it won't be a full service. Originally, the original plan, they talked about a banquet center and all that. That's done. That's off the table.
If an occasion occurs where this building is rented out for an event, would it be possible and feasible for a caterer to do a caterer's job in that kitchen?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, they'll have the ability to warm food. They won't be able to prep food and cook food.
I understand.
So they can't prep. So yes, as far as warming and having warming stations, they'll be totally fine. As far as prepping and cooking on site, it won't be doable. So a caterer can pretty much be self-sufficient usually too. So we looked at that. So, it's even for musicals, we looked at the back end for the concession for the deal. We're kind of limited on what we can do. We can do self-serve pizzas that come, but you can't really cook because the grease is the.
Another part that you mentioned that we're going to have a handicap parking lot.
Correct.
Where will that be located?
It's on the back, so where the circle comes, it actually it impacts the golf course a little bit. And there'll be a parking spot almost over near the well pit, but it's all gonna be on that side of the building, but it's all gonna be paved.
Now, wouldn't it be easier to put an access ramp in the last plan for the handicap?
Design, so it all turns into design and keeping it, so they're trying to have one access point for ADA, because we still have to be ADA compliant on the front. To do the back also it would just add layers to the cost. So we're trying to go with one central point. The front door, the foyer, everything will be re-ramped to make sure that it's all easy to get into. But if they do a second entrance, coming off the garage, even there's some elevation changes and some ramps and different things you'd have to do that just didn't make sense feasibility-wise right now.
The master plan had a parking area originally designed over this side of the building. That's not going to happen?
That's gone.
Okay.
That's gone.
Why?
That's going to be the retention pond for all the future water, so we're going to have to go ahead and divert water off the property. So we're actually going to have some different areas. So for the 100-year flood plan and everything, we have to have the plan in place to divert and move water in and out. So because of elevation, we're down here, It just makes sense to move all the water to this spot and dump it that way versus trying to put parking there, then we'd have to pave over it. And paving with mitigation of water is a different layer.
So that'll drain and go to the brook that runs under the road?
We're gonna have the design I saw 2 weeks ago is they're gonna have a big retention pond that will tie into the brook that connects across 9 and bring
Okay.
everything, but it all filters coming across, so it ties, because we have the channel right here at the base of the hill,
Right,
we can tie into that culvert to direct water and move it through.
so right out in front of the 6th fairway, okay,
Yep, so it's all gonna move, so
yeah.
And it still looks like we can have our fall programs.
you will be able to have your fall. I can say that with a very safe, because even if we're doing septic, it's not gonna change the imprint.
Okay. And then you'll
And
be
then what'll
working-
happen is, once you were done in the fall, then they'll come in and start on the interior of the house, and they don't need heat. So for them, it's not a heat issue. They can come in and work and pretty much get it done. The plan is still to, we're a couple weeks late. Antonio had a heart attack from the city, so it kind of, it manipulated a lot of what we were going on, because they've decreased his workload to try to get him to recover and get better.
Right.
So that's the bin, and he's a brain. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's been great the whole way. He's back to work now, but it's a matter of getting him going.
Good, fine.
But we should be good. So our plan is for an RFP to go out for the first phase sometime in early June.
Okay.
And then the second phase followed up right in July, and we're still looking at having a grand launch. And we're waiting for the window details and everything to come,
Okay.
so that we can actually show the window design that we're trying to get the state to approve. And they're trying to go ahead and strong arm the historical lady to
Okay.
approve the windows while she's here,
Oh, good.
so that we can actually push that in.
All right. Any other questions?
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming. I'm sorry. I feel
It's all
so
good.
bad.
It's all good, so.
All right.